Welcome back to the channel, everyone. ThoughtGore here, of course, and I know it has been a while since we've taken a look at some Hearts of Iron. We can actually thank a member of my clan, Kelhorn. We can thank Kelhorn for this, because he had mentioned that he was watching through my Hearts of Iron videos, asking questions about Hearts of Iron, and then it led us to the topic of whatever happened to Germany. So, we're taking a look at it. This is the last Germany game for this actual game or scenario that I'm in. This is the last one that I actually played because it goes terribly wrong. Now, obviously, right? Again, I know it's been a while since we last took a look here at the series, but basically what I want to point out is take a look at the Southern Front Army. That's the Teal Army, 208 divisions. If you recall, I had made this army entirely out of multinational forces that my allies have given me. So these are not crack German troops, and they are basically the linchpin in my whole strategy here. I need the Southern Front to hold in order for me to push on the north and the center, because obviously the center is where I want to go, is where I want to push through the most, because I want to capture Moscow. Once Moscow is captured, my plan was then to go to Leningrad. Once Leningrad was conquered, I am then planning to go down south, into the south of Russia, into the Caucasus, with the ultimate goal of taking Baku and getting all that oil. It all sounds pretty great, pretty grandiose, right? Yeah, it doesn't work. Again, we had a lot of problems in this game. I don't know what I'm doing. I think I'm adjusting the volume or something now. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I had a lot of problems in this game, and the reason why I had a lot of problems was this was the first game that I started when Hearts of Iron came out, June 6, 2016. And there were a lot of mistakes I made, as some of you have pointed out. I think it was Sir Gods, actually, who said that I hadn't produced an aircraft in about 3 years. And this is very, very true. The problem, obviously, is the descent from the conquered territories. Now, the conquered territories would be Poland and France, mostly, right? They aren't the biggest issue, because they are annexed, except for France. So France is the one that's the biggest issue, because that's where all the descent is. Now, we can see on the screen right now, this is a little tab that I've only learnt about in this episode, where I can change the treatment of the occupied country. So I can put it on brutal, which means I get, you can see it there, I think it's like less manpower or something, but I get more or less descent as well. So I went with that. Anyway, the problems in this game that we faced was the descent, obviously, and then that led to my military factories being broken or sabotaged, requiring repair. Once those are gone, means I can't produce. We can see a look at my production tab now. I can't produce all this crap because all those military factories are broken. And then once the military factories get sabotaged, the rebels, I guess, then move to your civilian factories, which then break down, and I need those civilian factories to repair the military factories, and you can see how this all compounds together, right? And it gets us the situation where I'm at now. Now, I've been squeaking by so far because of what I do have for an army. The army is actually really awesome. You can see here, this is the point where I start realizing, oh my god, the Southern Front has collapsed, because basically the Russians have pushed and surrounded a number of divisions. We can see that here. What I didn't realize as well at this time was I just assumed that this little peninsula here on the other side of the river, where we can see my guys holding out, where they're surrounded, I assumed that they'd be able to cross that river and get into the next province. No. It doesn't work that way, apparently. They're surrounded. They're all going to die, and I'm going to edit out the video here, and we'll get to the end where things actually do go very, very wrong. Anyway, getting back to the issues, and of course, with the military factories being gone, with my civilian factories being gone, I can produce some pretty good planes, FW-190As, but I have no factories to actually make those planes. In the meantime, the Allies are bombing me, which is adding more to the list of things that need to be repaired, which is just compounding the issue. So it's not so great. Now, obviously, I've been playing Hearts of Iron since it released, so I've learned a lot since this first look at Germany that we took. Learned a whole lot, especially about dealing with the dissidents and about, just making sure that my military factories are always, I always have enough of them to produce everything I need, for example. So, managing those a lot better as well is something that I've learned. Specifically with Germany, for anyone who is playing Hearts of Iron, if you want to play a Germany game where Germany just owns the world, what I would suggest is declaring war as quickly as you possibly can. Don't wait for the historical start dates. Don't wait for it. Even though in your national focus tree, you can go down that stuff. You can take Austria, you can take Czechoslovakia, you can take those countries without firing a shot, right? The problem, because there's always a problem, the problem with that is it just takes too much time, and it gives the Soviets enough time to regroup their army, because you have to remember that the Soviets at the beginning of the game are suffering from the Trotsky plot, and they're also suffering from the Great Officer Purge. Now, the Great Officer Purge is the one that is really going to affect the ground forces. And typically, with historical focus on for the computer, the Russians will have no more negative modifiers from the Great Officer Purge by summer 1941. If we look at our time now, 1942, the Russians are attacking at full strength right now. So if you want to play a good Germany game, you need to attack right at the beginning. I did. I started another Germany game. At this point in time in my Germany game, the other one I started, Russia's been completely annexed. Japan and I basically own 3/4 of the world. The only thing that we don't own is North America, Central America, and South America. And that's, what we're gearing up for now. How I did it was simple. Because Germany is a fascist government, Germany can declare war goals on any country whatsoever. So all you simply need to do is, the game starts in 36, maybe take 6 months or a year to build whatever forces you possibly can, and then start declaring war. You first want to justify a war goal against Austria, then you want to justify your war goal against Czechoslovakia. Now, once you do this, most likely the Allies are going to declare war on you once you, invade Czechoslovakia. They won't let it. They won't stand for that. However, it is so early, probably be about 37, maybe 38, that the Allies are totally unprepared for any sort of war. So you go in and you take, it's the end of 38, you have Austria, you have Czechoslovakia. Hopefully as well, you'd be making, roads into Poland, because again, justify your war goal against Poland. Don't wait for the historical. Take Poland as quickly as you can. Try to sweep through France by 39, have all of France, and by 1940, be attacking Russia. 1940 at the latest, in fact. I think in my game, now that I think about it, because it's been a while actually since I played that exact game, I want to say actually that it was 1938 when I declared war on Russia. I'm not 100% sure on that, but because you're fascist, again, you can justify war goals against any country, which means you do not have to wait for your national focuses in order to go to war. You can just simply declare a war goal against France, and then take France in the 80 days it'll take to justify that war goal. Simple. And then by that time, it's 1941 now, the world is basically over, right? You've got the Allies facing off against you, basically. That would be about it. So it is really, really beneficial for the Germans to do this early war start. Really, really beneficial. Now, obviously, you can do your historical focus here, keeping to what the Germans did historically, and trying to win. I mean, obviously, you can do that. It's a game. Play it how you want, right? At the end of the day, as long as you're having fun, that's the main point. This game, though, didn't go so well, obviously. Now, we still have 208 divisions in our on our southern front, the multinational army, which isn't too bad. You can see the Greeks are still holding on, those dirty Greeks. I have no troops to redirect down towards the Greeks. It's full-on war with Russia, and that's where everything of mine is. The Russians have a really big air force as well. And obviously I have no planes, so this Air Force is just basically they come in and they bomb Berlin repeatedly. They get their strategic bombers out there and they bomb the front line. In fact, we can see some of those strategic bombers and bombers on their way now. So it really doesn't work out well for Germany at all. Not in this game anyway. Not at all. But like I say, if we do the early start with Germany, the early war start with Germany, it's a completely different story. Completely different story. Anyway, we're taking a look at the multinational front now because things are a little real. You can see I'm trying to push out. One thing you do have to keep in mind with the multinationals is even though you control them and they're an expeditionary force in your army, they are still supplied, reinforced, and equipped by the home country. Yeah. So, 208 divisions from a number of different countries, all requiring different sorts of logistical support, different sorts of equipment, and all this. It is just a huge clusterfuck. This is something else that I've learned in my other Germany game. I was so angry at the end of this game with the multinationals that I had lost all hope in multinational armies. Now, in Armageddon, Hearts of Iron 2 Armageddon, your multinational armies were, they were something. They weren't too bad. You could expect them to hold the line, much like I would have wanted my troops to do. You might even be able to take them on the offensive, potentially. No, not here. At least not in this game. I mean, I don't know if it's a compounding issue of all of my supply problems and descent problems, right? I don't know if it's all that's compounding into this, but it doesn't work. Instead, what I found is maybe taking a few, at least with Germany. I mean, we're speaking from a Germany standpoint here. Maybe taking a few expeditionary forces isn't too bad, but what I did in my other Germany game was I just didn't take any expeditionary forces. I didn't trust them at all. We can see the clusterfuck happening down here, but I didn't trust them at all, basically. So, what I do is I just let the countries will offer the expeditionary forces, I just decline. The benefit to this that I have found is that the country, say Italy, retains all of its army, which means you can count more on Italy, in this example, to secure Africa. Italy is always going, if you play historical focus, Italy will historically try and take all of Africa. That's what Italy wants. So if I don't take the expeditionary forces from Italy, that leaves them with all of their troops to continue the fight in Africa, which is fantastic. Because Africa obviously isn't a big battleground, right? Once you have North Africa, it's good. Obviously, you want to try and get Suez, excuse me, because that is really important to have Suez to prevent the Allies from being able to use the Mediterranean for their trans-ocean ways. I don't know. Anyway, so there's that. Also, once the Americans get into it, and I think they are into it now, they will, or potentially will, attempt to land in Africa. Remember, historical focus, if it's on, the Americans landed in French Morocco. So, historically. So, by making sure that the Italians have a decent army, they will be able to stand against any sort of potential invasion, hopefully long enough for me to come along and push it back. So, there's that as well. Now, obviously, I am fighting in Spain in this game as well, and the idea here was for Spain to conquer Spain and take Gibraltar. Never happens. Never happens. I can never get over the mountains in Spain. My entire army just dies. And it's my own fault, obviously. I'm playing the game, but I believe I had Rommel in Spain fighting it out. And if you recall, Rommel's army is all mechanized, motorized, and tanks. Well, those sorts of fighting vehicles do not do so well in mountains, and the fact that I'm trying to attack across a mountain range with Tigers, Tiger 2s, Opel Blitzes, I've got the half tracks and whatnot. Yeah, not so great. Not so great at all. Now, since this game or this series has aired, there have been a number of patches in Hearts of Iron. Because keep in mind, this is a new game, and Paradox, the company who makes Hearts of Iron, is going to keep updating the game. So there have been a number of changes. Some of these changes include AI improvements, meaning that now, if you recall from the earlier episodes, when we first took France, we had British invasions, many little British invasions along the coast, the Atlantic coast, right? Trying to get into Germany, trying to take back France, all that crap. Well, now, this will no longer happen. What the computer is going to do instead is, rather than making a bunch of little landings in the hopes of grouping up those beachheads and pushing forward, they are going to do, they will prefer to do one massive landing. Yeah, much like what happened in D-Day. They will try and do that. So instead of, just poking at the weak spots, seeing if they can get through, they are going to commit the majority of their resources, troops, and effort into one beachhead, which is going to make, a pretty epic battle. So this has been changed since this replay. One of the patches. Something else they changed, and I forget. It actually changed a lot, and something else, yeah. Is now you can prioritize your armies as to how aggressive you want them to be. So in this, we don't have it because the patch didn't come out in this replay, but essentially what I could do is, I have my north, my central, and my southern armies in Russia. I could have the north and the south army on not a defensive stance. They're still on an offensive stance, but they're just not aggressive with it. They will push forward if they can, but it's not something that they're going to be trying to do. Whereas the center army, which is the army that I have on its way from Moscow, that army is the one that I want to push through. I can put that army on an aggressive stance, which means that this army will push forward as much as it possibly can. So there's that. And it also helps out with your supply, because now, before in this old way that we see here, if you're attacking across the entire front, well, that means the entire front needs resupply, needs reinforcements, and, needs to reorganize. This way, I only have a portion of the front pushing through. The other two flanks are holding firm, so they're not going to need as much resupply, reinforcement, and all that lovely stuff. And then, the majority of it is going to be funneled into the center army in this example. So that's another nice little change that they made here. So it's not too bad. I mean, I really enjoy it. Alright, so we skipped forward a little. And why we skipped forward was, a lot was going on there, but I just want to show the destruction of the multinational army. So 208 divisions is what we started with. I think we're already down to 206. You can see the Russians are just pushing through here down in the south. So the computer, isn't dumb. It will push through on your weakest flank. The Russians know that this is my weakest flank. Is multinationals, and the problem that my multinational forces are facing right now, not only are they all surrounded, take a look at this, but even the ones that aren't surrounded, they aren't getting reinforcements, they aren't getting supply quick enough to be able to reorganize and mount some sort of defense. I, in my infinite wisdom, we'll say that loosely, assumed that the land connections between my forces were still existing. Didn't realize yet that I'm completely surrounded. I can't pull out of where I am right now. I still thought that I could. So rather than abandon the southern front, form up some sort of defensive line and just try and hold them off while I continue the push to Moscow, I decided, roll the dice and continue. So, we can see that in quick order, from the time that I was explaining that to now, our multinational army is down to 141 divisions. So, that's quite a loss. We just took a huge hit there. But still thinking, okay, all right, we've got this. But no, there are other compounding issues because just like I don't have the factories to produce aircraft, I don't have enough factories to produce enough tanks and trucks. So I literally have motorized divisions out here, complete armored divisions and battalions out here with no tanks, no trucks. They are, if you want an image in your head, I would picture, the classic German tank man with his little leather cap on and his pistol. Well, that's all he has, yeah. That's it. That is the 5th Panzer Division, and they have one tank between, I don't know, the 500 that they need. So, we're operating on a Russian system here, basically, where I send the one tank into battle with all the other guys, all the other tankers just kind of jogging behind that tank, and as soon as that tank gets knocked out, they just pile onto the tank, try and repair it as best they can. The next crew gets in it and takes it a little further, rinse and repeat. That is how my army is operating at this time, which is leading to this total disaster we see on the Russian front. If you're going to play a Germany game and you're going to do it historically and whatnot, you really, really need to have your army organized. Your economy needs to be producing, incredibly efficiently. You need to have a really good hold on what is going on around the world in order to have any hope of doing anything. So 141 divisions is where we're at now. And the reason, too, why why I'm talking over this and not, because obviously when I recorded it, there's commentary at the time, it's fairly dismal. Because as the game was progressing along and I was losing more and more troop out of this multinational army, it was like, oh great, my entire southern front has collapsed. All the Russians are going to have to do, is just encircle me. All my armies are here on the Russian front. I've got nothing except for garrison armies, the few garrison armies that I was able to produce. Nothing but those guys over here in, mainland Germany now. So it's not a good situation. Not a good situation at all. Now, luckily, my little defensive line, the Atlantic Wall, quote unquote, it does hold. And that was an excellent strategy to put the fallback line along the coast as opposed to garrisoning or defending the area. We talked about it before, but the fallback line is more responsive. So if an enemy attacks somewhere on the fallback line and that troop that's defending against that zone needs reinforcements or needs more support, the computer will automatically allocate more divisions to that center to provide that support. With your garrison zones, this does not happen. It just doesn't. So it is much better, much more reactionary against any sort of attacking force. That's why I use the defensive line. We can see our situation in Spain has gone nowhere. Rommel is still saying that this plan is shit. What the hell are you doing, old Adolf? Yeah. So 118 divisions now. So the Russians have swooped in. They took more of my troop, and more are dead now. So that's always great. And up here in the center and the north, not going well. All the problems compounding is what's leading to this whole situation and scenario, right? All of it. And it's sad, because we did put a lot of effort into this game, or at least I did anyway. Tried to. But remember, though, that this is, if you remember way back, I guess, the 3rd episode of the series, this is actually Germany 2.0, because I did start the original Germany game where National Spain won, but something went wrong and I had to restart it all over again. I forget what I did, and that resulted in Republican Spain winning the Civil War, the Spanish Civil War, which meant that when war comes to Germany with Russia, I can't count on National Spain to be my ally, or at least to be allied neutral. I can't count on that. Republican Spain will go with Russia, and they will become an enemy, and then you do have to push down through Spain, and I don't have the proper army to do it. No. So there's that. I've also, been reorganizing my armies totally different now. I mean, right now you can see that I've got a few field marshals and a few generals. My armies are big and bloated, right? I think, well, some of you had mentioned it, and I started doing it as well, is just taking my armies and giving them a general, having a bunch of generals with their 24 divisions, and then maybe having a few field marshals with larger armies. This just gives you more flexibility on the battlefield, because instead of reallocating an entire army group or an entire army, I might just have to take a general and his 24 divisions and send them off, right? So there's that. So you can see I'm trying to form up a defensive line now. Trying to extend the front line down, get these guys out of this whole situation, and save them. Again, they are surrounded. I do not realize that they are surrounded. Those 91 divisions we see just on the other side of the river, and those other divisions we see just to the south that I'm hovering over now, they are all lost. Yeah, they are all surrounded. Apparently, there is no land connection here, and I can't retreat. Yeah, you can see that's how they want to retreat, right? They want to go north to that place and then go across the river, because apparently the river that they're facing right now is just too big. We can also see the guys down here totally surrounded. And it's at this point that I realize this. It took this entire game for me to fully comprehend how screwed I am. I didn't realize, not until this point. And it's at this point that my commentary in the game starts getting really, really defeatist. Because it's like, oh no, oh my god, they're all gone. You can see that I have, 12 divisions on the proper side of the river. The rest are on the other side, totally surrounded, totally out of supply, totally out of organization. So all the Russians have to do is attack it. And then, they're dead. So there's that. Now, in all of this, too, I mean, further up the line, I did just take a few places. But one of the places that I had been trying to take, and it was important for me to take, is Kiev. Kiev is an important city, obviously. It's on the western side of this river, so I need the city so that I can hold up in the city, defend the western side of the river, push the Russians back across the river, and then ultimately launch an offensive over the river. Never happens. Never happens. We can see the British have made a landing in Italy as well. So here's the benefit, another benefit too of not, taking all those expeditionary forces like I have done. It would mean that the Italians would have a whole lot more troops to defend against that British invasion that just took place. Because I have most of the Italian troops, they don't have the troops to actually do that, so that British invasion is going to go unchecked until I can muster up some sort of troop to send and counter it. So there's that, which isn't so great, obviously, right? We can see I'm battling it out for this spot here. I really wanted to take Kiev. I think that is Kiev, maybe. Really wanted to take it because it's important. So we're down to 117 divisions now in the old multinational force. I still can't get them out. I'm trying to select them all and just attack to get myself out of here. Because they're totally cut off, they're completely out of supply, so no supply is going to get through. Well, you can see the Russian strategic bombers coming in, attacking me. Not good. Very, very much not good. Bombing my infrastructure behind the lines. Now, for anyone who doesn't know why that's significant, it is because I need the infrastructure for my supply chain to resupply my armies. If that infrastructure is bombed out, it means I have to allocate civilian factories to repair that infrastructure. Now, my civilian factories are being bombed by the Allies, and I don't have enough of them to actually keep up with the repairs. So all of this then compounds again into the failure on the Russian front. I just can't be done right now. 111 divisions are what we are at now. So we almost lost 100 divisions so far. That's not too bad. About 30 minutes to lose that 100 divisions. Great. We're still trying, though. I'm still trying to hold it on because I'm thinking in my head, oh my God, Thakor, this is the series that we put on YouTube. We got to do something here. Something has to be done. So I'm getting desperate now at this time. I'm just taking my armies and I'm just attacking. I've given up on Leningrad. Not even going to bother with Leningrad anymore. What I'm trying to do is trying to form some sort of defense in the north so I can reallocate troops to the south. Because the south is falling. 110 divisions are where we're at now. We can see my one TAC bomber. Yes. The one plane in the German Luftwaffe is on its way to do something. And probably then get shot down. We can see the Italians down here in Africa are doing a good job, right? Yeah, it's not really surprising. I mean, there's not a whole lot in Africa. And so this is the one place in the world that I can look and say, yeah, the Axis are winning. Good for us. It's the only place. Sure, I could look at France, but there's so much dissent in France right now that it's just not worth it. At the very least, we still have the Suez. So there's that. Yeah, it's not too bad. Now, I mean, while the destruction of my army is taking place, 75 divisions now, so we've lost over 100 divisions. If you recall in this game as well, I'm trying to build up my navy, right? The idea with the navy is I just have to control 2 sea zones between me and Britain in order to have naval supremacy and then be able to land troops on Britain. And that is one of my lofty goals. Never going to happen. Not only do my civilian and military factories get bombed out, but once there are just no more military and civilian factories to bomb for the dissidents, to sabotage, they then start attacking my ports. We can see the problem I'm having with my factories. Oh, it's bad. It is bad. The ports that I have, some of them are still going, producing some ships, but it's not the numbers that I need. So I'm never going to be able to cross the North Sea here to get into Britain. It's bad. We're still at 75 divisions for the old multinational. We can see up here on the northern front of the line with Russia. I did manage to take Minsk, which was pretty good, but if you recall, I'm trying to push to Moscow, and it's never going to happen. No. We can see the Russians have now pushed through, right? They're almost on the other side of the river. They're going to be marching into Romania here. I have no armies down there to oppose it whatsoever. Once the computer figures out, or rather once the computer pushes through on the south, what they'll do, because the computer isn't dumb, is they'll leave enough troop on the north and center line to make sure that I can't push through too quickly. The remainder of their troops will all be redirected to the south, and they will all push through the gap in the south that has been created by the collapse of my multinational army. Yeah, pretty damn crafty, these Russians. But like I say, this can all be avoided in your Germany game if you declare wars early. By 42, like it's August 42 right now, if you do an early war with Germany, Russia should no longer exist. They'll either be annexed by this time, or they'll just have a few last holdouts, right? That's all they should have. God. Still at 75 divisions. The Russians haven't managed to push through these guys yet, but you can see that they are. I'm trying to attack out right now with them, right? And we can see that that attack is failing. Once this attack fails, the Russians will then counterattack and wipe out all of those troops. Fantastic. Down here in Spain, we have done nothing. Nothing. I think we may have taken a few Spanish provinces. That is about it. We can see the British are still attacking into Italy. You can see I'm getting desperate now, so I'm pulling troops off the defense and trying to send them over here to Russia. In a vain attempt of stopping the Russians, maybe saving the situation. I mean, actually, after this, I was thinking, maybe I can save it. Maybe if I just pull all of my troops back to, say, some sort of river in Poland and form a defensive line on the other side of that river, prevent the Russians from crossing it, maybe I can pull this off. It's not going to happen. It's the factories, right? The factories are screwing me over. I think we're down to 40 divisions now in the old multinational army. Yeah, not good. But yeah, it's the factories, because even though I'm going to have the defensive line and the Russians may not be able to push through it, I still don't have the factories to actually rebuild my army. Yeah, they don't exist. It's terrible. So skipping forward once again, we can see the multinational army on the southern front is down to, what is that, 38, maybe 33, can't exactly see the second number there, divisions, so it's all over. In the actual commentary for the video, it was at this point that I started talking about Palace's 6th Army, yeah, Pallas, the 6th Army who actually attacked Stalingrad, and I was comparing my, my push here on this line and the total destruction of the army to the failure of the 6th Army. Well, I'm not going to call it, we'll say the failure of the German High Command in failing the 6th Army at Stalingrad, because I don't think it was the 6th Army's fault for the failures at Stalingrad. It was the High Command's fault. But anyway, that's, my own opinion. Yeah, it's all over. It's all over. My guys are dead. This Germany game, will not be taken any further. I have since applied the lessons learned from here to other games. I just haven't broadcast those games on YouTube. But that brings us basically to the end of the video and to some questions I have. I know that a good number of you, my subscribers, actually did enjoy Hearts of Iron 4, which really pleases me because I love this game. And I definitely do want to get more Hearts of Iron on the channel. I'm just not sure what country to take. So if you guys have an idea as to what country you would want to see next, please let me know. Leave it in the comment section below. I really want to know. And it has to be a realistic country, right? I am not going to be playing an Albania game. I would prefer one of the major nations, say Japan, Germany, France, Britain, United States, anything along those lines. But I'm open to suggestions anyway. So I'm really interested to know what you guys would want to see next. So be sure to let me know in the comments below what you do want to see next. And as well, like I'd mentioned, Rommel has his new computer has since arrived and all that lovely stuff. So we are going to get some multiplayer Hearts of Iron going as well. And we'll figure that one out. It probably won't be a Canada-US game like we did with Darkest Hour again. We'll probably do some major nations. I really want to see the Russian-Germany alliance again, the unholy alliance. I think that would be amazing. Might be a little overpowered, but whatever. Let me know in the video comment section below what you want to see, what next country you want to see, and I'll get that series starting up here. What else did I want to mention here? I have been playing some Armored Warfare, by the way, just to look at some different content on the channel. But as Armored Warfare is right now, I don't think I'm going to be putting it on the channel. Why, you ask? The player base in Armored Warfare has basically gone. If you log into Armored Warfare and you try and play a PvP battle during the day, you will be waiting about 45 minutes to get into that battle because there's just no one there. On top of that, say you're queuing up in your tier 3 or your tier 4 tank, because there's so few people in Matchmaker, you're actually going to be in battles with tier 10. Yeah. So it means that the only option you have is PvE. PvE gets incredibly boring after playing, the same thing over and over. So I'm not going to be taking a look at Armored Warfare, and it's a shame because Armored Warfare is fun. I'm still going to be playing it. It's just I'm not going to actually be putting it on the channel. If Armored Warfare's player base were to change, I'll readdress it at that time, but for now, no. I think what the next thing we're going to do is, Hearts of Iron and World of Warships, obviously, but we're going to get some War Thunder up on the channel, I believe. Fly around in some planes, drive around in some tanks. Anyway, like I said, been a while since we took a look at this Hearts of Iron game. Wanted to get a video up just so we can finish it off and move on. So, as always, leave any comments you have for me in the video comment section below. Specifically, I'd love to know what country you want to see next in Hearts of Iron. Hit the old like button if you did like today's video. Hit subscribe if you are not a subscriber. And as always, I do hope you enjoy the rest of your day.